Why do so many people want to achieve the cinematic look, and why is the term thrown around so freely? We're going to be breaking down what makes a film, or even a small sequence, or your favorite YouTube video, cinematic. Cinematic. Adjective. Relating to motion pictures. Having qualities characteristic of motion pictures. To truly understand cinematic video, we need to go back to the beginning. The very beginning. Early photo cameras made the process of taking a photo long and tedious, and the thought of motion picture didn't even exist until a man named Edward Muybridge, no idea why it was spelled that way, used a series of cameras taking multiple photos in order to study the movement of animals. He wanted to know if a horse lifted all four of its hooves while it was galloping. One day, Thomas Edison, was chatting with Edward when the topic of motion picture came to the forefront. Edison, of course, the ever so curious person, went to work in his studio, Edison Studios, and was the first to ever produce real motion pictures, and in turn was the first real production company. Ever since then, we've constantly pushed the envelope, looking at things like frame rate, 4-bit profiles, blah 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 blah. But one thing remains the same, and it's the pursuit of making things look filmic. Constantly, filmmakers are trying to emulate older film stocks, things like Kodachrome or Vision 3, the Vision series of which still exists today. Things like grain and even dissolves and burns were created within film, before digital video even existed, and they are constantly sought after today. So let's break it down step by step. What do you need to make a cinematic video? Your video should be clean, it should have minimal noise, and if possible, shoot in a flat profile. This is an example of a flat profile. This is an example with a standard profile. You can see that the flatter profile is just uglier. It lacks contrast, saturation, and depth. This will allow us to add in more natural colors later. Using things like complementary colors, or even in some cases, contrasting tones, can be key in producing a cinematic look. Grain. These are typically overlays used to add texture to a shot and to help emulate film stocks. Letterboxing and aspect ratios. In editing, adding black bars to the top and the bottom, or stretching the image to a widescreen format, allows you to fully immerse your audience in making them feel like it's a movie. Use of shallow depth of field. While this isn't necessarily from the film days, a shallow depth of field makes your video look incredibly cinematic.